शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये. Om. Dear friends, in olden days, the code of conduct for the warriors was that it was a dharma yuddha. Dharma yuddha means it is not as though you just see the enemy and just shoot him at sight. It's not like that. That is, when these two battles, they were all aligned and then they were all lined up. These armies were all lined up. Then from each side, they look at the elders from the other side. And suppose Arjuna sees his elders, that is Drona, Bhishma, etc. on the other side. So Arjuna is not supposed to directly shoot arrows on Bhishma or Drona. He is supposed to shoot what are called Namaskara Bana. That is, first of all, he has to shoot some arrows which go and fall at the feet of these masters. So that is, he is in his own way, in his own warrior-like manner, he is doing pranam to Bhishma, Drona, etc. And after that, those people, they again shoot some arrows which go just by the side of the ear. That is Kushala Prashna, what is called Kushala Prashna. That is, okay, are you okay, are you good? So that way, after some sort of Namaskara Banas, and this is the etiquette which was followed. Not only that, again some bugles have to be blown, and only when the other man hits you, so after all these etiquette and all these ceremonies, then they go and fight. And immediately at the time of sunset, right at the time of sunset, there is again a bugle blown, and again all the people, they have to stop fighting. And suppose somebody is injured on the other side, these people will go to the other side and also see them. So that sort of etiquette was there at that time. So in those days of Dharma Yuddha, it was not inappropriate. It was not inappropriate for these two people to be there. It is not inappropriate for Arjuna to have some sort of get into some sort of despondent mood. It is not inappropriate for Krishna to explain to him, to give him a broad picture and tell him about what is dharma. After all, it is a communication between Krishna and Arjuna only. All other people did not listen. For example, Dharmaraja did not listen. The Duryodhana and other people did not listen. It was only a communication between these two people. And this Gita was told to Arjuna alone. This is another question. Why should it be told to Arjuna alone? Why did Dharmaraja not get a doubt? So Dharmaraja is a person who is very much aware of Dharma. He is fully aware of what is Dharma, what is right and what is good and what is evil. So Dharmaraja did not need this sort of teaching because he already knows. When it comes to Bhima is a man who is jumping for war, who is just itching to fight, itching to fall on Duryodhana, itching to fall on Dushasana and tear him up, because he had made a promise that I am going to tear you up and then drink your blood. So Bhima is a man who is itching for a fight. Nakula and Sahadeva, they just obey what the elder brothers say. Arjuna is the only man who is a person who is a thinking person, or rather a questioning guy, you can say. Arjuna is a man who is a questioning guy. He wants to know whether what he is doing is right or wrong. The basic question is about the legitimacy of the war. Am I doing the right thing? So that was the type of doubt. So Arjuna is the man who is having that sort of doubt, and that is the reason why Krishna had to tell him, he has to explain to him, because he can't command, he should not command, no, jolly well you do fight. He should not say. He has to give him, in a philosophical level, he has to tell him. Otherwise, he will not be convinced. If he just says, suppose if he is an ordinary soldier who says, I don't want to fight, the commander can say, no, jolly well fight, or you will be dismissed. But here, it is the commander himself who is in doubt. The commander has to be convinced. And this commander can be convinced only on philosophical grounds. So that is the reason why Krishna had to give him a broad philosophical picture. So this is one thing which we have to realize. Now we will get into the text slowly. And when I am talking about the Gita, my target group, who are my target group? My target group, as I said in the very, very beginning, the educated modern man, maybe the person who is in his 30s, a person who is not able to answer the questions of his children. Because when I went to America many years ago, I first saw that many young kids, they are asking questions. They go to school And in the school, they are told, "Oh, you worship so many gods. What is this? And you worship idols. What is this?" So when the parents come, the children come and ask the parents, and the parents are equally ignorant, because the parents are the people who have done their technical education, and after doing their technical education, they have gone abroad, maybe America, maybe Europe, or maybe Australia or some other place, and they are so totally cut off. They are so totally cut off from our education. Not only that, our system of education, our system in India is that we don't have any religious education at all. For example, we are all grown up in India, and in my childhood, I never had a single lesson on what is the meaning of Gita. Not only in Andhra Pradesh, anywhere in the country. Not only about one religion, about any other religion. But if you go to other countries, for example, Britain or America or some other European countries, there for children, even from the childhood, for a fifth class boy, a student, or girl, so they know, they have some idea about what is Christianity, what is Judaism, what is Islam, what is Hinduism, etc., etc. They give a broad picture of what the religions are. So there is what is called a religious education. It is only in India we are so totally growing up as religious illiterates. So this sort of religious illiteracy is very much prevalent. So I am not offending you. I am not at all offending you, because I was like that till my 40th year. Though I was supposed to know some little bit of Sanskrit, though I was also thinking that I was reading all these texts and all that, I did not know what exactly are the fundamentals of our Sanatana Dharma till I studied this Gita under the guidance of a guru, under the guidance of a teacher. So studying under the guidance of a teacher is also very, very important. We may be very, very intelligent people, but in spite of it, as I said, there may be some passages which appear to be contradicting. As I said, the entire universe is in me and nothing is in me. So like that, you find some sentences like that. So we have to have the guidance of a teacher. And what I found in the Western countries is that the youngsters, they are not able to answer their kids. So my target group are such people who are in their 30s and 40s, who are trying to answer their children, and who themselves they have those doubts in their minds. My own daughter she asked me so many questions. So I have to tell her every time, oh, I have to give her a perspective. This is what it is. So in that perspective, this Upanishad has to be seen. Or in this perspective, this particular prayer has to be studied. So that is how we have to see. So this is the general target group. And regarding the text which we can follow any text. For example, I am right now teaching from this text, which is the edition of Ramakrishna. This is printed by Ramakrishna Mission. This is a text which is edited by Swami Swarupananda. This is a very simple text which gives the verse, the Sanskrit verse it gives, and word to word meaning also it gives, and also the summary of that particular shloka or verse that is in the prose form, word to word meaning, and also what is called tatparyam, the purport of the shloka it gives, and it is quite good. It is quite good, and I follow this text. I am not going to take out the entire bhashyam and all that, because that bhashyam or commentary, because many people have commented. We know that there are three main schools in the Indian philosophy, or rather Hindu tradition. That is, one is the non-dual tradition of Shankaracharya. There is another tradition called Vaishnava tradition, that is Vishishtadvaita. Vishishtadvaita is what is called qualified non-dualism. Advaita, that is non-dualism. Visishta Advaita is qualified non-dualism. And what is called Dvaita, otherwise called dualism. So these three thoughts, I will not go into the details. Maybe very briefly I will refer to them when we come across certain shlokas. So this is the broad setup. And this book is, it doesn't belong to any particular tradition. And it explains the text as it is. So you can take any text, or I will be broadly following the non-dual tradition, which is generally more acceptable, because this non-dual tradition is something which talks about an impersonal reality. It does not talk about God as Vishnu, God as Shiva, or God as Ganesha, or God as so and so, etc., etc. It tells about the absolute reality as something which is of the nature of supreme consciousness, which is absolutely formless, and this is something which is generally accepted by all. And that particular tradition has influenced the world philosophers. In fact, Bhagavad Gita, when it was translated into English, more than 200 years ago, 250 years ago, by a person called Charles Wilkins. So when he translated it, it created actually a sensation in Europe and also in America. In America, many people, even prior to the visit of Vivekananda, we know that Vivekananda went to America, he talked about Indian philosophy and whatnot. So prior to Vivekananda also, there were eminent intellectuals like Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, another person called Henry David Thoreau. He wrote a book called Walden. And in fact, Walden bookstalls we see nowadays. Walden is the name of a book written by that Henry David Thoreau. And it seems when Henry David Thoreau died, there was a copy of Bhagavad Gita under his pillow. That copy, that is translation by Charles Wilkins. So this Charles Wilkins book created so much of sensation. And this is Bhagavad Gita is a book which influenced all the world thinkers, all the great philosophers of the world, all great thinkers were influenced by this. So this is something which we have to see. And this non-dualism, non-dual thought is something which influenced all the people. So I will be broadly following that. And we now come to the text as it is, Bhagavad Gita. Now I am coming to the title. Bhagavat. Bhagavat means, I will not go into the etymological meaning of what is Bhagavan and what not. Bhagavan, simply speaking, okay, that supreme reality. Not a person. Bhagavan does not mean Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna again does not mean a particular person who is son of Vasudeva, etc. So I am not referring to Bhagavan as Lord Krishna. Krishna himself, when he says me, me in Bhagavad Gita, in so many places he says I, me, etc. He is not talking in the capacity of the son of Vasudeva. Lord Krishna, so and so ruler, ruling a particular Yadava kingdom, and a person who is the son of Vasudeva. He is not referring to that. There he is talking as that avatara. That is, he is talking as a sort of mouthpiece of that impersonal reality which cannot speak. That impersonal reality cannot speak. And how to communicate a message from that? So somebody has to communicate, somebody has to be the spokesperson. So whenever Krishna says I or me, he is referring not to himself as a person, he is referring to that supreme reality. And the name of that supreme reality is what is called Brahman. That again I am going to tell you later. Brahman, right now I can tell a little bit. Otherwise, so many words will be confused. So Brahman is something which is not a person. It is only an entity, what we call an impersonal consciousness, which is not a person. That is, some name has to be given. Otherwise, how will you, by what name will you refer to that? So you have to refer to that with some name. And the name given is Brahman. So Krishna is speaking as a spokesperson of that Brahman. So that is what we see. That is what is Bhagavan. Gita is something. What is Gita? We know what is called Ganam. What is Ganam? Ganam is song. Ganam. Geetam also we know. Geetam also is song. This particular Geetam is written by so and so. Geetam is a song. Gita means something which is sung. So it does not mean that Lord Krishna was singing this thing in the battlefield. It is not like that. So what else? And not only this, there are several texts in our literature which are having this particular title called Gita. For example, if you have seen some of these texts, there is what is called Ashtavakra Gita, there is called Vasishtha Gita, there is what is called Rama Gita, and there is now this Bhagavad Gita which is told by Krishna himself. So what is this Gita? Gita does not mean something which is sung. Gita means a very exalted conversation, a very exalted discussion, a very noble discussion, telling about the nature of a human being, the nature of supreme reality. Wherever there is a discussion telling about the nature of that supreme reality or supreme Brahman, so that becomes the Gita. That is the general rule. When you say Rama Gita is a particular small portion. Ashtavakra Gita is a small text. Similarly, Shruti Gita is another text, Anu Gita is another text. So there are at least some 20, about 10 to 15 Gitas to my knowledge. So all these Gitas, the subject matter is the connection, the relationship between what is a human being and the divine, and also telling about the oneness of this human, whatever is the Jiva and the supreme reality. So this type of exalted discussion, wherever it takes place, that is what is called Gita. So Bhagavad Gita means the text which is giving this important message. So that is what is the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. And this Bhagavad Gita, we come across 18 chapters. And these 18 chapters, they are called Adhyayas in Mahabharata. And this Bhagavad Gita, it occurs in a portion of Mahabharata which is called Bhishma Parva. Mahabharata, we know that it is having so many parts. Mahabharata, as I said, it is a huge text. And in that huge text, there is the first portion is called Adi Parva. Adi means the beginning. And the next one is Sabha Parva. It is called Sabha Parva. And then again, there is what is called Vana Parva. Vana means all the people, they go to forest. Vana Parva. So like that, Parvam. Parva means, I will not go into the meaning of that. Parva means a particular section. So this particular Bhagavad, this Gita, is from one particular Parva called Bhishma Parva. And the context also is very interesting. That is, we know that Mahabharata war takes place for about 18 days. Mahabharata war, the total duration of Mahabharata was 18 days. And in that 18 days, for the first 10 days, Bhishma, the great warrior, he is the chieftain of the Kaurava army. And Bhishma was an invincible man. Nobody can kill him. Bhishma was so invincible that Pandavas, they themselves, they go request him, kindly tell me some way in which you can be defeated. And Bhishma, he has sworn his loyalty to Duryodhana. But he loves Pandavas. He knows that Pandavas, they are on the right side. They represent Dharma. So he tells some way, okay, he gives some plan, okay, get so and so person, the Shikhandi, and shoot arrows. I cannot fight. I don't fight against a woman or a eunuch. And the Shikhandi was a eunuch at some time. I will not fight. So putting Shikhandi in front, Arjuna shoots arrows and then Bhishma falls down. That is on the 10th day. So when Bhishma falls down, then Duryodhana, this Dhritarashtra, he is totally shocked. That is after the 10th day. And he is getting the war news every day. He is getting war news from one person called Sanjaya. Sanjaya is, we can compare him with the modern times war reporter. We know that whenever there is a war, there are some war reporters, some United Nations reporters and people like that, all the war reporters, they will be reporting. And war reporter is not attacked by either army. So like that, Sanjaya was a man who was given a special gift by Sage Vyasa. Sage Vyasa gave him a special gift. You will know what all is happening in the battlefield. So Sanjaya was sitting at some place and he was able to see what is called Divya Drushti. And he was able to see what all was happening in the battlefield. And at the end of the 10th day, when Bhishma falls, it was a shock. It was a shock for Dhritarashtra. Then Dhritarashtra immediately calls for that war reporter Sanjaya, asks him, what happened? What happened? What happened? What is happening? Then, right from the beginning, what all has happened, you tell me. So then, right from the beginning, what all has happened, this Sanjaya is going to tell. So that is how this Bhagavad Gita begins. Sanjaya is now going to tell what exactly happened in the first 10 days. So that is what, not only in the first 10 days, immediately at the commencement of war. At the commencement of war, what sort of discussion takes place, he tells. And of course, thereafter, he also tells how the war was fought and how Bhishma fell and all that he tells. We are not interested in that. We are only interested in the first 18 chapters, which talk about Arjuna's confusion, or rather the moral dilemma, as we call it, the moral dilemma of Arjuna, and how Lord Krishna gives a greater picture, a big picture, so that Arjuna understands what is his role, what is his dharma. So that is how this text starts. And this first chapter, it is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. And very curiously, in this Bhagavad Gita, as I said, there are 18 chapters. All the 18 chapters, they bear the title Yoga, 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 Yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga. Like that, right up to the last adhyaya, that is Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. So what is this yoga? Yoga means association. Yoga, this so-and-so is having a Raja Yoga. What is that Raja Yoga? So he is having that particular, he is enjoying that status of Raja Yoga. Some other man is having Lakshmi Yoga. So he has got a lot of wealth, Lakshmi Yoga. So yoga means, it is very close to the English word called yoke. English word yoke and Sanskrit word yoga, they are actually what are called cognate words. So this yoga means is associated with that. So here, what is the meaning of this yoga and why various yogas are there? It does not mean that it is like Patanjali Yoga. We are also aware of what is called Patanjali Yogas and whatnot. There is nothing to do with yogasana, etc. So we will see what it is. I will explain what is this yoga and we will get into the text tomorrow. Harihi Om Tat Sat.